Hello again. Welcome in. It's Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Post here in our Concord, North Carolina studios from Mifflintown, Pennsylvania. My co-host Ashley Stremme is alongside. Hello, Ashley. How are you?
Steve, I am great, and congratulations on another year around the sun. Happy birthday this week.
Thank you so much. Yes, your husband and I, we celebrate the same day for a birthday, so here we go. Let's tee it up, another lap around the sun. That's for sure. So while we're teeing up another lap around the sun, the All-Stars are catching a breather. Woo! Speed Week is over, Ohio Speed Week. The Dean Little Memorial wraps it up, and what a thriller that was. That race was bonkers. Brent Marks got the win for the second time, but again, second straight year, Speed Week champ Sunshine, Tyler Courtney. Him and Buddy Kofoid tied, but Sunshine got the nod there, Ashley.
Yeah, but an impressive showing by Buddy. I mean, we know he's a great racer, but to jump in a car, a new team with Vermeer 55 and see him have the success he had in battling for the championship, very, very strong showing. But, of course, Tyler Courtney always on top.
Yeah, Sunshine, you just can't beat it. 6 races that ended up having. There was 8 scheduled. 2 got rained out. 6 winners. I love this list of winners. Tyler Courtney won at Wayne County, which ultimately was the tiebreaker. Brent Marks won. We just talked about him, the Dean Little Memorial. Zeb Wise, Danny Dietrich, Tim Schaefer, and Sam Hafer-Teep Jr. won at Eldora. I love that Sam won at Eldora, and whenever Tim Schaefer wins a race, I smile. It's always good.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get in victory lane, for sure.
Don't know what he went all El Equipa on him, that's for sure. If you know, you know, that's for sure. Tim Schaefer, one of the great veterans in the sport, for sure. Hey, we have got a great guest today joining us here on the program. AJ Flick is an 8-time winner thus far this season. Yeah, we're only in June, and he's won 8 times. Western Pennsylvania Speed Week, the great young racer from Apollo, Pennsylvania. AJ Flick, he joins us coming up here on Wing Nation. The Outlaws are headed back to the Pacific Northwest. Join us for 3 action-packed nights of racing August 31st, September 1st and 2nd at Skagit Speedway when the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars return for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals. Kickoff for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals begins Wednesday, August 30th with a pre-race party, live band, Sage Fruit apple giveaways, and more. Then catch Donnie Schatz and the rest of the World of Outlaws as they take on Washington's best sprint car drivers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Details at SkagitSpeedway.com. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Let's go right to it. The Sage Fruit Hotline, one of the drivers that just keeps parking his sprint car on the front stretch every time we turn around. From out in Western Pennsylvania, AJ Flick joins us. Hello, AJ. How are you?
How are you doing, Steve? Ashley, this is pretty cool to be back on. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is always great to catch up with you, that's for sure. And like I said, I see your smiling face in victory lane. 8 wins this season. It looks like in your corner of the world, Western Pennsylvania, you've got that car dialed in pretty good.
Yeah, we knew we were off a little bit at the beginning of the year with these new tires. We were still a top 3 car, so we didn't really overthink it too much. We kept trying to make improvements, but when the Outlaws came to Sharon, we got our butts handed to us pretty good, and we were off qualifying, heat race, didn't transfer out of the B main, and that race there is when we realized just how far off we were, even though we were still top 3 locally, and kind of put our heads to the tombstone, grindstone, and just kind of dialed in some of the issues where we were lacking and didn't quite feel that we had made the changes we needed to. And ever since that weekend, it's been a roll for us.
AJ, when you talk about being on this roll, is it something that you found in the car? Is it something you found personally? Obviously, you've mentioned the tires already. It's kind of been a learning curve for everyone, and we've chatted a lot about it with other drivers. Is there something that's kind of fell in your lap with that, or has it just been a game that you found something and you're sticking to it?
Yeah, we kind of had to work to find it. I mean, when we started sprint car racing in 2014, it was on the H stuff. So while we were learning, we kind of developed habits that only worked for the H series tires. And I spoken to the guys at Maxim, Dan Musselman, super great people, and they kind of helped get me dialed in. But we kind of had a lot of PTSD, I guess you would say, about things that we had tried years ago on H tires, and they didn't work for us. So we just never did them again. And to try and convince ourselves and my father as a team to try something different that we knew never worked before but might work now, it was difficult to get us in that mindset. Once we started opening up our mindset a little bit and letting our ideas branch out, it started to work and pick up a little bit more speed.
You know, you mentioned going up to Sharon and getting your butts handed to you, and this is a weird sounding question, but how important is it for a sprint car driver trying to get better every once in a while to get it handed to you and to maybe move you guys in the positive direction? Is that kind of what happened with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we were still a top 3 or 4 car, big picture wise, locally at that show. It was the same guys that had been beating us that beat us and made that show in the first place. But when you compare it to the traveling teams and the professionals, and you could see it with lap times and just how their cars were driving, how much more comfortable they looked, what they could do with their race car, it really opened up our eyes to be like, okay, this is what we need to do. I mean, they came to one of our local home tracks and just put an absolute spanking on everybody. So to watch what Donnie Schatz did, rolling right through the middle, and just kind of what tires he was running, how their cars were set up, things of that nature, it was a wake-up call, but it helped us because then it gave us an idea of what to shoot for and what direction we needed to go.
And it's so true. We've talked about it off air a little bit before. You've talked about coming to Port Royal. You've made the trip numerous times in the past season, only twice this year. You know it's a fast joint. The competition's tough. Where do you gauge yourself when you come here to Port Royal and to race the fast tracks with the caliber of teams we have?
It's tough because I think Port Royal is just such a different animal. Like, I think the top 3 or 4 from this past Saturday, I raced with them 2 weeks ago, you know? So I think clean air means so much of it. And I mean, we finished 14th this past week from 23rd, but some of the guys we were catching have won races there before. So I think it's just so much situational. And I mean, we had passed Lucas Wolf for, I think it was 6th or something in the heat race. So we didn't transfer, but it gave us an extra B-main starting position spot, which is ultimately probably what got us into the show because we were able to run 3rd. And I think Lucas is a great guy, great driver, but he wasn't even able to transfer. So I don't know if they had issues with the car or whatnot, but I think it's so situational, and the dirty air means so much that's what makes racing at Port Royal so difficult. And to be able to get your car to work through dirty air like what Lance Deweese and Anthony Macri and those guys can do, I think it's a lot of race car and obviously a lot of driver as well, but to put that whole combination together is one of the reasons why it's so difficult to win there. Jeff Halligan kicked everybody's butt 2 weeks ago, and I think he started 9th, and I don't even know where he finished, 5th, 6th maybe, but it just goes to show that as good as they were 1 week, it's extremely difficult to pass and get up 3-4 rows to win another feature the second week.
Big challenge, that's for sure. Speaking of a big challenge, Western Pennsylvania Speed Week, you are now a 2-time champion. We've talked to you, AJ, over the years. You're a family team, you're a small team, you race on weekends, but gearing up, as you guys did, for 5 straight races, you had 5 races, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. What is that like for you and your family team to have the weather cooperate this year as well, to run 5 straight nights with Western Pennsylvania Speed Week and win the championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute blast. First off, I got to thank Tyler Buechner for that. I listened to your interview that you had him on there for, and he went into a lot of detail, and it's awesome that you gave him the publicity to get himself on the show and go over what he designed and created for that Speed Week. But we wouldn't have that opportunity without him, so massive thanks to him and everybody that helps with that Speed Week. But it's definitely something special. It's $3,000 to win every single night, so it's fantastic pay for us in Western Pennsylvania compared to what we're normally used to out here. It still brings some outsiders in, and we're able to race against a lot of good competition. People like Ryan Smith, Mark Smith came in this year too. So when you race against those guys, and even the Blaneys that ran it quite a few days, you know that you have accomplished something if you can run up front and compete with those guys. And this is the first year that we got all 5 nights in. Every other year so far has been rained out at least twice. So it's been really cool to gauge ourselves and how the team works. And it was just stupid hot that entire week. It was like 85 degrees, humid. So I told everybody, I said, we got to stay hydrated. Everybody get their rest. We did most of our work on the cars between midnight and 4 or 5 a.m. every single night, and slept in later. But everybody did their jobs. Nothing broke. I thought I drove well. We were able to stay consistent up front pretty much most of the entire weekend and bring home another Western PA Speedway championship.
It was awesome. It really, truly was. Stay with us. We're going to step away. We're going to come back more with AJ Flick in just a moment. The Outlaws are headed back to the Pacific Northwest. Join us for 3 action-packed nights of racing August 31st, September 1st and 2nd at Skagit Speedway when the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars return for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals. Kickoff for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals begins Wednesday, August 30th with a pre-race party, live band, Sage Fruit apple giveaways, and more. Then catch Johnny Schatz and the rest of the World of Outlaws as they take on Washington's best sprint car drivers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Details at SkagitSpeedway.com. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. We are having a blast because we're talking to AJ Flick, one of our favorite guests. We love when we get a chance to catch up with him. He has won 8 times this year out in Western Pennsylvania. All right, AJ, we like to go off the racetrack a little bit. I've followed along on some of your social media posts, also your girlfriend Ashley Brown's post. Are you guys roller coaster freaks? Are you roller coaster aficionados?
Yeah, I guess you would say so. We just love the atmosphere too. Being in an amusement park, getting out, just seeing everybody happy, excited, getting to enjoy nice weather. So yeah, I mean, we try to get to as many parks and coasters as we can.
Good part. What are the best coasters? Are there dream coasters? Let's get the details here.
She's a huge Hershey Park fan, and they just came out with an RMC coaster, Wildcats Revenge. We have yet to get out to that. We went to Hershey Park for her birthday on April 15th. I usually do that every year for her. But Wildcats Revenge was not open yet. So she still wants to get out to that. She's a huge Steel Vengeance fan out of Cedar Point. I like Millennium Force. But one thing that we started doing as well, when we would go down to Charlotte for the World Finals, we would always take a trip to Carowinds down there that's on the North-South Carolina border. And they have a roller coaster there called Fury 325. And it is an absolute blast to ride. And the park is never as busy as what Millennium Force is. So we can just hop right off, and just continuously, day after day, just ride the same coaster over and over. And I mean, it's as much of a thrill the last time you do it as you did the first time.
I feel like this is almost like the racetrack counters. Like, we've been to 17 parks in 3 states. And do you guys keep track, or do you have bucket lists, places that you want to visit?
Yeah, we do keep track. I would have to check my phone and my notes to see how many we've been to. We've had talks to get out to both Disneyland parks in Florida and California. They got a lot of new coasters there too. We've done some of the smaller ones, but she wants to go to like Dollywood, and we still want to get to the Six Flags and ride some of those big coasters like King Dakar, if you've ever heard of that. So it's basically a slightly taller, slightly faster version than what Top Thrill Dragster was out here at Cedar Point. So we've gone to the Kings Island and Kings Dominion, and I forget which one's in Cincinnati, but we went there last year and did some ice skating under the Christmas lights and stuff. So we all had a good time there too. And honestly, some of the coasters were still running even on December 25th. And I'm local here out to Mifflintown and Kennywood, and we go to ride Steel Phantom's Revenge out there. And they just have a new one, Steel Curtain. And we usually do some of the Christmas stuff out here too. And they've got a Fright Night opportunity. So the amusement parks do a great job at getting many options to keep your time occupied.
Okay, so you talked about Carowinds. Okay, I went down there some time ago, and they have these old rickety wooden coasters. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about the high-speed hang-on and that sort of thing. I did a couple of those old speed wooden coasters. Felt like I needed a Hans device, a helmet, and a cup while doing it. Do you do the old coasters as well, or is it new coasters? What's your preference?
Yeah, I absolutely love the new steel coasters. Like Steel Vengeance was designed and created off an old wooden coaster, but the technology in coasters anymore is just so far advanced than even what it was when I was a kid. And they're so smooth. There's so much technology and seat time and air time, flips, the whole 9 yards that go into it. And I would rather do speed and G-forces than the flips and going up and down more. I think Ashley's pretty much in the same boat as I am with that. But I know as the older I've gotten, the less I've been able to handle some of the flips and twists and turns as what I used to.
Well, let's not try to do this on the racetrack or on a roller coaster. You'll have to check out Knoebels. They're really great for those old crappy wooden coasters. But all that aside, I've also been stalking your social media. I'm waiting for when you guys are going to get turtles like on the side of the card as your mascot. I know you guys found another one. Ashley found it in the parking lot at the racetrack a couple weekends ago. Like, what is it with you guys and turtles?
I honestly don't have a clue, but it got to the point where I was so superstitious that I had to see a turtle before we went racing. And when we would go to Sharon last year, we would look for a turtle right when we got to the speedway outside. They have that pond there where they get the water from. And I saw a turtle 3-4 times, and we won every single race we were there for. So it just became kind of stupid, kind of superstitious. But where I live, there's been 3 or 4 times where we've moved the truck and trailer, and there's just been turtles underneath it and just hanging out, staying out of the sun, and we've had to move them. So I don't know. I see trains everywhere I go, and I see turtles everywhere I go. So I'm convinced that I'm going to die in some way, shape, or form by either trains or mobs of turtles.
You know what you need to do? See, Ashley refers to the big block modifieds as mud turtles, so you just need to run at the same time.
Yeah.
Like Lernerville has the mud turtles on Friday night, so you see turtles all the time there. AJ, before we cut you loose, kind of what's the next month or 2 months look like? Local racing, you're going to venture east over to central Pennsylvania. What's the game plan as you move forward here?
It's all going to be dependent on weather, obviously. You never know how that's going to play out, but we're actually off from Lernerville this week because the firecracker there is with the Lucas Oil Series, so we can go somewhere else. And then actually Port Royal's not running because Central PA Speed Week starts and they take off for Lincoln. So there's a couple fast races that we can look to get to. They're about 2-3 hours away. If the weather's bad, we probably won't take a shot at going to those. It's just not worth the cost of diesel anymore. But if the weather looks fine, we'll see if we can give it a shot and go to some new racetracks, see how we can compete. And I've been watching the Fast Series results. There's a lot of good drivers that go to those shows, and I know Craig Genser's been to a few of them, and Zach Hampton's been going, and my buddy Brandon Spithiler from Mount Airy, he's been going and competing with those guys. So it'd be good to go out, race with those guys, see how we compete and stack up in more qualifying shows, and try and get some good results around up front.
Well, I'll tell you what, it is exciting. It really, truly is. Fun to watch what you're doing out there in Western Pennsylvania and beyond, and then turtles and roller coasters, too. We got it all covered. We got it all covered. And we didn't even talk about gourmet burgers. We're going to have to talk gourmet burgers when we come back the next time because of your sponsor there. So we'll take care of that next time. But AJ, it is always good to catch up with you. Thanks so much for the time here today.
Yeah, it's awesome to be on, guys. Special thanks to Red Rob and Gourmet Burgers, Ferguson Heating and Air Conditioning, Fence by Maintenance Service. Everybody that allows me to get on here, have a good time, talk to you guys, and just get the car in victory lane.
Man, I'm stopping at a Red Robin on the way home. You got me, that's for sure. Thanks, AJ.
I'll send you gift cards, guys.
There we go. Now we're getting hooked up, that's for sure. AJ Fleck joining us here on Wing Nation. Stay with us. More in just a moment. The Outlaws are headed back to the Pacific Northwest. Join us for 3 action-packed nights of racing August 31st, September 1st and 2nd at Skagit Speedway when the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars return for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals. Kickoff for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals begins Wednesday, August 30th with a pre-race party, live band, Sage Fruit apple giveaways, and more. Then catch Donnie Schatz and the rest of the World of Outlaws as they take on Washington's best sprint car drivers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Details at SkagitSpeedway.com. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Ashley Stremme and Steve Post, and boy, I'll tell you what, AJ Fleck, I could talk to him all day long. He is a good dude, that's for sure.
I just love how we can get off track with some of these drivers and talk about, kind of what their everyday life is like, not just all racing.
Yeah, it is. So in that instance, it was roller coasters and turtles. Yes, indeed. Great stuff for sure. Lots of great things have happened over the last week. Let's run through them a couple quickly because there is so much coming up. in sprint car racing. King of the West had the fastest 4 days in motorsports. Ashley, I love what they're doing on the West Coast, and they race 3 times in Oregon, once in Washington, making their way north for Skagit this coming weekend. But boy, Corey Day, Ronnie Day's kid, man, this young man is starting to get everyone's attention.
Yes, we chatted with him, was it a year or 2 years ago? And you know that he's going places, and he is showing it very much this year. 3 out of 4 wins this past week and 6 total with the King of the West so far this year. So pretty impressive.
World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, they were up at Beaver Dam Raceway. Gio Scelzi is the Rookie of the Year candidate, picked up the win. And boy, it's been a weird year for Sheldon, but he got it turned around on Saturday night as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, last lap slider on Gio didn't stick, or my gravel, I'm sorry. Got my days mixed up there. Sheldon actually ends up winning Saturday. So it's still there. It's just something's not 100%, and it could be something as simple as the tires.
Yes, indeed. There you go. But that is Sheldon's 4th Beaver Dam win in 5 starts. I love they did the Battle of the Border. Real quick on this one, 10,000 to win. 3 tracks got together. Jackson, Mark Dobmeyer won Friday. Knoxville, Davey Heskin won Saturday. And Huset's in South Dakota, Ayrton Jeniton won on Sunday. All right, coming up, World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the 2nd annual BillionAuto.com Huset's High Banks Nationals, presented by Menards. Got all the sponsors out of the way. Keep our buddy Todd Queering happy up there at Huset's. But Ashley, they are paying a boatload of money at Huset's this weekend.
We need to keep Todd and those sponsors happy. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, $20,000 each night to win. Saturday, $250,000. I'm not good at math, but if you won all 4 days, that's a whole lot of money.
That's a whole lot of money, that's for sure. Here's what I love about this one. Ashley, we know sprint car racing, and it's evolved into traditional big purses. Knoxville, half mile. Eldora, half mile. Williams Grove, half mile. Ports jumped up to 50 grand with the Tusky half mile. There ain't no half mile in Brandon, South Dakota. It is a bull ring paying that kind of money. I know those drivers who are not necessarily at their best on the half mile. That's right, elbows up. I know those drivers that like elbows up are licking their chops at this one.
No doubt. We always see those California drivers shine, and the locals as well. So it'll be interesting to see who ends out on top.
Race of the year last year when Sheldon went from 3rd to 1st in the last lap and a half to win that one. I would expect nothing more. Not to be outdone. You mentioned West Coast drivers, and we talked a little bit about the fastest 4 days getting to Skagit. Boy, I'll tell you what, this is an event that is just growing and growing. Dirt Cup at Skagit, Thursday and Friday prelims. Saturday, someone's going to the bank out of there in pretty good shape, Ashley.
$62,000 the richer.
Wow, man, oh man, that thing has just exploded into one of those big races, that's for sure. And speaking of exploding, batten down the hatches, because it is that time, Pennsylvania Speed Week. Woo! Williams Grove, 8 grand. Lincoln, 1092 in honor of Kevin Gobrecht. Baps, 8 grand. And then that thing, I was looking at it, that second weekend is just, there is money everywhere up there, Ashley. Pennsylvania Speed Week, it is religion up there where you're at.
It is. I mean, sprint car racing is religion here in Pennsylvania, let's be honest. And the guys who ran Ohio and now running into PA, kudos to them. It's tough. It's grueling. It's exciting.
It's the high holy days of sprint car racing in Pennsylvania, that is for sure. Pennsylvania Sprint Speed Week, and it continues on, starts Friday night at Williams Grove for sure. We appreciate AJ Flick so much for joining us here on the program. But more important than all of that, and we say this every week, and we mean it sincerely, thank you for joining us this time here on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit.